All right, it's Mr. Barr again. I figured out the issues with my tablet and being able to write on the screen, so hopefully this video will go a little bit smoother. This one is domain and range of functions. Kind of a good one. See how it goes, okay? So domain and range. Learning goal, I can explain the concept of a function and use function notation. Functions are the driving force behind apps. I want to be able to use and create functions. It's the idea of an input and an output. Think about a car. You put in gasoline and you get miles. If you put in water, what happens to your car? It kills it. You will break your car. This idea of an input and an output is found throughout life. In math, this idea is called domain and range, input and output. Today you're going to learn how to identify domains and ranges, inputs and outputs, and you're also going to learn how to identify domains that will break a function. We can break a function. So it's like in and out. All right, let's get our notes ready to go. You can put your name up at the top of your notes. Here come the notes. All right. So name. And we're going to start with domain. And range. The domain is what goes in. It's the input. And the range is what comes out. Normally we like to put x's in. Remember the last lesson, you were putting an x in and you would get some f of x out. If we were graphing this, usually we think of as x as the input and the y as the out. So domain is the in, range is the out. And we can do this with a mapping diagram. I don't need you to write down this one. Remember, if I write, you write. But what goes in, we put in eggs, flour, milk, and sugar. What comes out, cake or ice cream. So things go in, things come out. Things go in, things come out. This is what a mapping diagram would look like with numbers. So we're going to put this one into our notes. And you can just put this under domain and range. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Negative 2, 1, 2, 4. If I put in a 0, I get out a 2, a negative 2, and a 1. If I put in a 1, I get out a 2. If I put in a 2, I get out a 1. And if I put in a 3, I get out a 4. And this thing, it's called a mapping diagram. Let's get that into our notes. Mapping diagram. One thing about a mapping diagram is that those are actually just a bunch of points. It's just a way of showing points. So I can actually show this exact same mapping diagram as just a set of points. Zero comma negative 2, 0 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 2 comma 1, and 3 comma 4. So the mapping diagram is just a set of points. So right here, what is the domain? The domain is 0, 1, 2, 3. Down here, what is the domain? The domain is 0, 0 again, 1, 2, 3. Over here, what is the range? The outs, negative 2, 1, 2, and 4. Down here, What is the range of the outs? -2, 1, 2, 1, and 4. So I've got my domain and my range. I've got my domain and my range. I can show it either way. Usually we show it as points. That's more common than mapping diagrams. So right here, let's find the domain and range of this. So we're going to write down those points in our notes. Get my notes ready. Right, so we have 4, 5, -2, 3, 7, 8, -2, 9, and 6, 8. We're going to find the domain and the range. So the domain is just all the x's. What are the x's here? I have a 4, I have a -2, I have a 7, I have a -2. I don't have to write it again since it's already down here, and I have a 6. There's my domain. What's my range? 5, 3, 8, 9, and 8, I'm not going to write it. I don't have to duplicate the values. There's my domain. There's my range. Let's just say this one together. What's the domain of this? Does not need to go in your notes. The domain is 4, 7, 9, 11. What's the range? -5, 0, 7, 13. Domain is right here. Range is right here. Some things can go into a domain, and some things will never come out of a range. You can't take the square root of a negative number. At least you don't know how to yet. You can't divide by 0, and you can't have 0 in the denominator. These three things will break a function. So let's get that into our notes. We're going to call this How to Break a Function. One, can't take the square root of a negative. So if I had the square root of -9, broken. This is a no. Can't do that. Can't divide by 0. So if I had 8 divided by 0, no. Broke it. Can't do that. And I can't have 0 in the denominator. So if I had 8 over 0 like that, no, I can't do that either. Really, division by 0 and 0 in the denominator, it's the same thing. So those are the things that will break a function. So when I'm plugging things in, I have to make sure I don't break it, just like you're not going to put water into a gas tank. So when I look at this guy right here, can I break this thing? Is there a number in here that'll break this? No. Can I put in a negative number? Sure. Can I put in a 0? Sure. Can I put in a 5? Yes. I can put any number into this, and I can actually get any number out of this. So the domain of this is all real numbers, and the range of this is all real numbers. I can put any number in, and I can get any number out. And so I need actually real numbers. I know you don't fully understand real versus imaginaries versus other things. Okay, we're going to put the word real there. All real numbers can go into this. There's no way to break this thing. It doesn't have a square root that I can break. It doesn't have a fraction that I can break. It doesn't have a division that I can break. I can't break it. And the range of this is also all real numbers. And you can use that symbol. This symbol means all real numbers, that R with an extra line on it. There's no way to break this thing. Come on, I want to break something. Let's go find something to break. Oh. Okay, this one doesn't have to go into your notes, but what is the domain of this? Domain, I can actually write on it now. Hopefully, let's see, will my drawing tool work? Am I there? Yes. Domain is 4, 6, 2, 7. That's the domain. And what's the range? The range is 5, 7, -6, and 9. Come on, I want to break something. Find the domain. Yes, I can break this. Okay, this one's going to go in our notes. The domain. There should be a movie like Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Wrecks the Domain. I just saw that movie recently. I like that movie. It's a fun movie. F of x equals the square root of x. Okay, the domain. What can go in? Okay. Can I put everything into this? I can't. Can I put in a 1? Square root of 1, fine. Square root of 4, fine. Square root of 3, it's a decimal, but fine. Square root of 2, decimal, but fine. 0. 0 is great. Square root of 0 is 0. -1, no. I just broke it. I can't go negative. X has to be greater than or equal to -1. Because if I put in a -1 or a negative anything, it's going to break it. Range. What comes out? Well, I can't put a negative in. Is there any way to get a negative out? There isn't. Can I get a 0 out? If I plug in a 0, out comes a 0. If I plug in a 1, out comes a 1. If I plug in a 4, out comes a 2. How can I get a 0 or a negative come out of this? I can't. So the range, f of x, is greater than or equal to 0. You know what? This is wrong. Should be greater than or equal to 0. I messed that up, didn't I? I'm glad I caught it before this got finished. Greater than or equal to 0. So I can put in 0 and up. There's an up, thumbs up. And out comes 0 and up. All right, domains and ranges. I can do this one. What's the domain of this? Say it to yourself. Let's see. The domain of this is... My domain is right here. This is my domain. And what's my range? This is my range. It is so satisfying to write with a big fat thing on the screen. Find the domain and range. Okay, we're going to try to break this thing. The domain. What can I put into this? Let's see. Let's try some different things. What can I put in here? Could I put in a 1? Yes. Could I put in a 3? Sure. Can I put in a negative number, like a -1? Yes. Can I plug in a 0? No. So my domain, the do, x cannot equal 0. If you plug in a 0, you break this thing. Let's come over here to my range. Well, if I plug in a 1, out comes a 1. If I plug in a 2, out comes a half. If I plug in a 0.5, out comes a 2. So what if I plug in a negative? If I plug in a -1, out comes a negative. I can get negatives to come out. I can get positives to come out. I can get almost everything to come out, except what can't come out of this thing? I can't get a 0 to come out of it. I can't put a 0 in because I break it. I can't get a 0 out because there's no way to get a 0 out. Ooh, okay, let's try to break it. Ready? I'm going to break it really fast. This cannot be a 0. If I put a 5 right here, what happens? 5 minus 5 is 0. It broke. So x cannot equal 5 because it breaks it. That's my domain. My range there's no way to get a 0 out of this. I can't turn the denominator into 0, which means there's no way to turn f of x into a 0. Let's keep breaking things. Ooh. Oh, I like this one. Okay, I don't think we can break it. Okay. Domain. Can I plug a 1 into this? If I plug in a 1, out comes a 1. If I plug in a 2, out comes a 4. If I plug in a -1, out comes a 1. If I plug in a -2, out comes a 4. If I plug in a 0, out comes a 0. What's the domain? I can plug everything into this. I can't break it. No way to break it. But the range, is there a way to get a negative out of this thing? Nope. F of x has to be greater than or equal to 0. I can get a 0 out, but I can't get any negative numbers to come out. Ooh, let's break it. Let's break it. Ready? I'm going to break it right now. My lights just went off today. You can't tell. I don't think it's no, it's more than that. I can't go negative. I can't. I've got this. How do I explain it to you, though? Let's plug in a 1. Can I plug a 1 into this? If I plug in a 1, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 4 is -2. Nope. I can't plug a 1 in. Can I plug a 2 in? 2 times 2 is 4, minus 4 is 0. Yes, that works. Can I plug a 3 in? 2 times 3 is 6, minus 4 is 2. Yes, that works. I can plug in a 2 and higher. If I plug in something less than a 2, this thing goes negative. Can I get a 0 out of this? Yes, I can get out of 0. Can I get out a negative number? Nope. There's no way to get a negative out of a square root. So I can plug in a 2 or higher, and I'm never going to get a negative to come out. One more? Oh, okay, domain and range. Let's see who actually watched to the end of this video. Domain and range here. What's this point? This is -3, comma 4. This point is at 0, -2. This point's at 2, comma 4. This point's at 3, comma 1. What's the domain? Domain? -3, 2, 3, 0. Range? 4, 4, 1, -2. Right? Domain, 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 domain. Range, 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 range. Okay. Thanks for watching.